Good evening, everyone. Good evening, everyone. It's a pleasure to welcome you to Spring 24 Grace Series talk. This is the first talk of this semester. I'm Anjum Chida. I'm a member of the Grace Series committee, and the committee is headed by Mehra. She's right now. Hi. And Kitty is also a committee member. The Grace Series committee is hosted inside the Department of Computer Science. We also have Professor Bhavani as a member. I don't think she's present today, but yeah. The Grace Series talks are crafted to ignite inspiration and empowerment among women and non-binary individuals in the field of computer science. Our goal is to showcase role models who can instill a sense of ambition in our students. Today, we are honored to have one such role model, Sashi Varanasi. She's a very distinguished member of speaker who exemplifies the qualities we aim to champion. Sashi Varanasi boasts over 25 years of IT leadership expertise, guiding architecture and engineering teams throughout her career. Within Amazon Web Services, she spearheads teams of highly proficient, client-focused specialists, serving as solution architects and industry frontrunners. As a specialist, she and her team offer strategic counsel to enterprise executives and key stakeholders. Prior to her tenure at AWS, Sashi held pivotal roles in renowned corporations like Motorola, Sabre, AT&T, and Kemper Insurance. Her proficiencies span IT leadership, go-to-market strategy formulation, talent management, team development, and product delivery. She holds a master's in computer science from DePaul University, Illinois, and a bachelor's degree in business application and computers from Osmania University, India. In addition to all this, she also holds two significant executive leadership certifications, Wharton Executive Leadership Management Certification from the Wharton School, and Oxford Executive Leadership Program Certification from the University of Oxford. With that, please join me in welcoming Sashi Varanasi to the podium. Thank you very much, sir.
Wonderful. Thank you, Anjum, for that introduction. Good evening, everybody. Really great to see all these fresh faces today. I'm here to share my career journey, my career story. And I started just like you, studying computer science long ago, software engineering long ago. And I had big dreams to achieve in my career as well. Just like I'm sure you all do have big dreams to achieve in your future, in your career. So I do hope my journey will give you certain insights today that you can walk away with. And I hope it will help you in the future. And at the same time, I'm also looking forward to understanding your fresh perspective on things. And I would like to walk away with that fresh perspective for myself today. So with that said, let's get started here. I'm going to start off with my personal life. I was born in India to a humble family of 3 kids. I was the oldest. I completed my undergrad degree back home in India. I completed the bachelor's degree in business applications and computer science. And when I moved to United States, I completed master's in computer science from DePaul University in Illinois. And recently, my recent accomplishment in education is getting these 2 certifications from the prestigious Wharton and Oxford. These are executive leadership certifications that I've achieved recently. And my biggest asset is my family. I live with my family, my husband and 2 sons in Frisco. We have a dog as well, a very cute Labrador that you can see in the picture here. My son is actually in UTD. He has a class today, so he couldn't be here. He is a pre-med student here. And the second one is a middle schooler. So that's my personal life quickly. And on my work life, just wanted to present quickly a few milestones. I started working in 1996, so I've been here in the industry for 25 long years. And 1997, after 1 year of work, I was asked to work for a client in Sydney, Australia. So I moved from Bangalore to Sydney in 1997. I worked there for 1 year. Then I moved to United States in 98, and I've been working here since then. The second milestone here, I was promoted to a software architect from being a software engineer in 2003. And in 2013, I became a people leader, a director of software engineering for Sabre Corporation at that time. And in 2019, I joined Amazon Web Services. So that's basically a few milestones there. And I'm going to start off with failure. And why do you think I'm starting off with failure? Because failure is so important in life, and it teaches you certain things, and it gives you a reason to retrospect. It gives you reason to look within, and it builds resilience, and it gives you a reason to make a positive change in your life. So what is the story here that I have about my failure? So I wanted to become a doctor when I was in high school, but I haven't really prepared for it, and I haven't studied for the entrance exam. And you all know how difficult it is to become a doctor and to study for an entrance test. But I haven't done that. So on the day of the entrance test, I had this huge guilt, and I felt so bad that I haven't studied for it. And I basically failed not trying. So I think the one thing that you will regret in life is not the failure itself. It's okay to fail. It's okay to get up from that failure, learn from it, and move on. But what you're going to regret in your life is not trying. And that's exactly what happened here. So I regretted it a lot. And like the quote that's said here, I knew that if I failed, I wouldn't regret that. But I know the one thing I might regret is not trying. Jeff Bezos said that, and that's exactly what happened in my case as well. So not trying is the biggest regret you're going to have, but failure is okay. Failure is not going to punish you in life. It teaches you certain things, and it taught me many things at that time. I started to look within myself. I started to retrospect to see why I haven't done it. And I realized hard work is not a choice. If you want to achieve anything good in life, you need to work hard, right? And that basically created the determination for me. I became a go-getter. I had ambition to achieve great things at that time. I built resilience to become a go-getter and recover from it. And with that, I moved to computer science from being in biology, chemistry, physics subject to computer science and software engineering. And from then on, there was no stopping me anymore. I loved the subject. I was a topper in my batch most of the time, and I just took off from there. So that failure helped me build my resilience and allowed me to create big dreams for myself, learn from it, and move forward. So success is not final, failure is not fatal. It is the courage to continue that counts. So you need to plan your recovery. You need to plan your path. So in this slide here, I have different career paths laid out here as different diagrams. So just wanted to talk about what a career path means. It doesn't have to be what you see in the top right part of the screen, which is a traditional career path, where you are just getting promoted, going from one level to another level in the organization. It can be multiple different, it can be planned in multiple different ways. The career path where you have a corporate ladder is also one of the options. Many people choose that option, but there can be many other careers where you took a couple of steps above and then you continue in that level because basically you achieved something great and you want to continue in that for a long time and do great things, right? And that is the bottom one that you see here. But there can also be career paths where you're moving between multiple different roles. So it can be very zigzagged where you're an individual contributor for some time, or you're a people manager for some time, but then you're trying multiple different roles in your organization, achieving still great things, great accomplishments that you've set for yourself. So it can be multiple different paths that you can choose. You can chart your own unique path for your career. And some people go for that trajectory that you're seeing here, which is having that corporate ladder and moving from one position to another. And that's something that people do today as well. It's a traditional path, but something that people take today. So you have to understand what you want in life as you work on your career, as you complete your education, as you're moving to your next step in life. This is something that you need to think about as to what you want to do in life and what steps you want to take to accomplish the things that you want to accomplish. In my case, my career path was a corporate ladder. I chose the traditional path as for my success. And I created a vision, a goal, and a plan and an action to achieve it. And this happened long ago. It's not something, every promotion that I got is not a fluke. It was planned. So when I started my undergrad degree in computer science, I decided that I need to move up to a software architect role. And from there, I need to move up to a director of engineering role. And then from there, I need to move up to a top tech company in the world and work for them and do great things where we are transforming industries. So I had those steps in my path, and that's what I wanted to achieve. So that was my career path plan. So basically what the underlying theme is that just completing your education and then moving into a job will give you a certain amount of satisfaction. But then if you do want to achieve great things and you want to have multiple accomplishments, you definitely need to do that planning. So the planning is not something that you can leave as optional in life. So if you want to achieve great things, you need to plan for it. So I wanted to leave some of the techniques and tips and tricks here on how to build a very successful career. Let's say that you all completed your studies and you got a great job. So what are the things that you need to do in order to be successful in that career? So you need to understand what your strengths are, and you need to capitalize on your strengths. Everybody is unique. We all have our superpowers. We all have different strengths. Everybody is not the same. So understanding your strengths and leveraging them and using them as levers to accomplish great things and be successful is really important. In my case, my top strength is that I'm a learner. I'm a passionate learner. I love learning new things. I like to stay up to date with the technology, up to date with what's going on in different industries that I work in. And that helped me immensely in my career growth. So even today, I complete courses online. I take courses in different schools. So learning has been definitely one of my strengths that I continue to use on a yearly basis. I have different certifications that I've accomplished, and that helped me in my job to stay current and also to inspire and motivate people who work with me. So that's one of my strengths that I've used very often in my job. I have solid analytical thinking, and some of these strengths are not something that I came to know on day one of my job. So some of these are strengths that I came to know as I worked for different companies, as I went through certain situations, certain projects. I understood what my strengths are. And when I understood what my strengths are, I was able to use them more often and get benefit out of these strengths. And one of the strengths that I realized much later in my career is that I do have a knack for explaining very complex things in a very simple way, which helped me get buy-in from multiple different sponsors within the company. Sometimes the business people do not understand all the technical details. So having that analytical thinking and explaining complex topics and breaking them down into easy to understand elements really helped me in getting some of these projects sponsored. So understanding what your strength is and using it in multiple different occasions is going to help. And diligence, hard work has always been my strength as well. And it's not only about working hard, it's about how and where you're focusing your energy. In some cases, you may have to do some brutal prioritization because you have way too many things to do. So when you have way too many things to do, you can't give time to every one of them. So you need to focus on what is most important at any point in time and focus on that most important priority and work hard on that. So it's not only about working hard and being diligent and being committed to your work and completing all of your work. It's about whether you're doing the right thing or not. Is that the highest priority or not? So those are the things that you need to keep in mind as you work in a corporate world. Once you move from this and become an employee of a company. So these are the things that you want to keep in mind in order to achieve that success. And my first promotion, as I said, to a leadership position came in 2013. And I was in enterprise architecture teams of large corporations for a long time. And these enterprise architecture teams were full of men, basically. So they were in very late 1990s and early 2000s. We didn't have that many women in tech. So I was usually the only person among 60 people sitting in a room, and my voice could not be heard. I would speak and nobody really minded it. And I had to find my voice. I had to not only get the seat at the table, but I also had to learn how I can make my voice heard among these tens and tens of men who are in the room. And I learned that deliberately. It's not something that happened by chance. So I had to take courses on communication. I had to understand how to clearly communicate, how to project your voice, how to say the right thing at the right time, how to make sense, right? And how much work you have to do behind the scenes to be able to say the right thing in a meeting. For example, in a corporate office, you have multiple meetings going on every single day, and you can get into the meeting, listen to it, and go back, or you can go fully prepared on the topic of the meeting, go in there and say the right thing at the right time and provide value. So the moment you provide value, that's when people are listening to you. So have understanding not only how to communicate, how to open up, how to project your voice, and how to say things. It was also about how you can prepare before you go into every meeting room to understand what the topic is about, what are they trying to achieve, and then provide value. So those are the things that I've used to speak up and not be shy in a room, do the preparation, stop being quiet, and also talk about the work that you've done, the good work that you've done, right? So for example, in my case, when I was in enterprise architecture for almost 15 years before I became a people manager, I had to talk to many leaders in the organization and tell them exactly what solutions are provided being an architect, being a software architect. In some cases, I had saved company millions of dollars with the work that I've done. So I had to create PowerPoint decks to talk about what those solutions were and how they helped the company save money. So those were the things that I took around to multiple different leaders within the corporation to make them understand the value that I was providing. And I had to promote that myself. I had to say I'm remarkable. It's actually a workshop. So I Am Remarkable is a workshop that's run by large companies like Google, and we also do it at Amazon. And this is geared towards women who are afraid to say I'm remarkable. So learning to say I'm remarkable is so important in this industry. And also writing down why you think you're remarkable, right? So when you start writing down why you're remarkable, that's when you'll realize what value you're providing, right? Why, and that's when you're going to realize how to self-promote yourself, how to self-advocate for yourself. And learn and be curious and dive deep. These are actually leadership principles from Amazon. We'll talk more about it in a little bit. But building credibility and gaining expertise in your domain is very, very important. So you need to have expertise in a specific domain when you're working for a company. The company may be working on multiple different products. They may be having multiple different services that they are providing. They have specific business outcomes that they are after. But if you're there and you're providing generic knowledge, then you're not really, you're basically replaceable, right? So if you need to move up in an organization, you also need to gather that credibility. You need to gather the expertise in order to gain the credibility. So diving deep into some of these topics, some of these technologies is very important. So gain that expertise, gain that knowledge when you're at a job. And also networking in a company is extremely important. So when I was, during my very first few jobs, I knew that I had to tell leaders around me the work that I've done, what I've done, what solutions I've created. But I didn't think about networking across, right, with your peers. And also talking to teams that are not part of your team, creating that organizational network is so important. So it's not only your manager who needs to appreciate, it's also your peers who need to appreciate what you're doing. It's also if you have direct reports, they also need to know, you need to build credibility with them as well. They need to understand what you're capable of and whether you can lead them or not. So creating those networks, creating that trust across your peers, your direct reports, your managers, and other peers across different organizational units is extremely important. And also what can help you with networking is finding a mentor and getting that mentorship from the person that you believe in the organization. And one of the things that I worked on during my entire career of 25 years is to have milestones. You don't want to rest on your past laurels. So you might complete your education, you might get an awesome GPA, you got a job at a very big company. That's not the end of it, right? In order to have a successful career and in order to achieve the path that you've created for yourself, you need to have different milestones. And in my case, I had multiple different milestones that I wanted to achieve. One of them was to get on a big stage. In my case, it was reInvent. Amazon Web Services has a reInvent conference in Las Vegas every year. So getting on that big stage is not an easy accomplishment. So that was my milestone. I got there a couple of times. Completing very difficult to do certifications like machine learning certification, for example, from AWS. It's not an easy thing to do. So that's a milestone I had. I completed machine learning certification. Then having these certifications from executive leadership programs from these schools was another milestone that I wanted to achieve. So I achieved that milestone. Getting an award from your CIOs in the company, CTOs in the company, which is not easy to have, and you need to do really good work. You need to create all those networks, and you need to accomplish things like saving costs for the company or any business outcomes that they are after. So all those provide you that recognition. So having those milestones in your career is important as well. And getting that recognition from your leadership is something that you want to achieve as well if you want to have a successful career. So that's one of the things that I had in my career. And most recently, I've signed a contract to write a book. So this is basically some amount of industry recognition as well for the work that I've done. So I signed a contract this year to write a book, and which will be published by end of the year. So you might ask what it's like to work for one of the top tech companies in the world. So I work for Amazon Web Services. It's their cloud department. It's not part of Amazon.com, but it's another business unit within Amazon. And I'm sure you would have heard about Amazon Web Services. It's one of the top cloud providers in the world. And I've been there 5 years now. and we do have what's called leadership principles. So when a company starts, a founder creates a vision for the company, right? There's a long-term vision that a founder creates. And the vision then turns into mission and a set of values and principles for all of the employees to follow. And usually these mission and values are basically very passively written down in a company's documents and left somewhere. And that's not at all like how Amazon operates. So all this vision and the mission and the values that we have are our day-to-day behaviors, and they are written down as leadership principles, and these are demonstrated on a daily basis by every person in the company. And they're part of our DNA. The picture, it's a DNA picture. They're part of our DNA. They're part of our blood. We demonstrate customer obsession, for example. We work backwards from customer requirements. We strive to be Earth's best employer. There's a lot of weight on the wellness of the employees, their career aspirations. We also have a motto called work hard, have fun, and make history. And we do work very, very hard, but we also have a lot of fun at the same time. And there are multiple different principles here. Learn and be curious, dive deep, take ownership, think about long-term, not short-term. So these are all the things that we talk about on a daily basis. Our employees are appreciated when these leadership principles are demonstrated. So it's like, unlike what I've seen in many other companies in my 25 years of my industry experience, having these leadership principles definitely helps us raise the bar as employees and do the right thing, prioritize on the right thing, think about our customers, think about long-term, not short-term, and be an innovative company. There are also other things that we do at Amazon that are not very common in other companies that you might know. These are called mechanisms. Mechanisms are basically tools that we have that we use on a daily basis. So for example, you may have patterns of problems. You may have the same problem repeating over and over, but you don't want to be inventing a new solution every time that problem comes up. So instead, you want to have a mechanism that's written down. It's a process, it's a tool, it has certain steps, and you use that mechanism over and over. In this case, for example, one-way door and two-way door decisions, it's a decision-making framework or a mechanism that you have. So what this is saying is, when you are making a decision, see if it's a one-way door decision, which means you go through the door and you can't come back. You can't revert back from that decision easily. So which means you have to gather a lot of data to make a decision like that. When you have a two-way door decision, which means that you can revert it immediately. So you can make a decision and it did not work. You can revert and basically turn back and pivot and do something else, right? And that type of decision can be made easily. You don't need to gather a lot of data. You don't need to get buy-in from all your stakeholders for that type of decision. So that's basically a framework that can be repeatedly used to make decisions across multiple different situations. And working backwards, for example, itself is a mechanism that we use to gather customer requirements and also process them and create what's important to our customers. So that's another mechanism that we use at Amazon. We also have a very intense writing culture at Amazon. We write a lot. Everything is written down as a document. And that's basically to remove bias. For example, there's a lot of unconscious bias in the corporate world. When it comes to diversity and inclusion, there's some unconscious bias against women, non-binary, whatnot. So when you write down your ideas in a document, in a narrative form, you're collecting data behind it. You're collecting evidences. You're really putting thought into your ideas and proposals. And that basically removes bias. So we do use this mechanism a lot at Amazon. We write a lot. We make decisions based on data, not intuition, because we're writing down all of our ideas in different formats, whether it's a 6-pager, 3-pager, or a 1-pager document. Each of our meetings starts with silent reading of those documents. We spend about 20 minutes reading the doc, not saying anything, and then we have next 40 minutes of the meeting where we are collecting feedback and additional data about our proposals. So that's a really a peculiar culture, we call it, at Amazon that we use, and which allows us to be innovative and be customer centric. So I wanted to leave you with a few tactical steps here. So far, we covered what are the different things you can do to have a successful career and what it's like working for Amazon. There are a few tactical things that I wanted to leave you with. So if you look at this survey that was done here, a lot of women do not apply for jobs if they don't have 100% of the qualifications mentioned in the job posting. And this is true till today. So if you have a job posting and if there are 15 things listed there, women don't apply for that job if they have just 8 of them, right? They want to have 100% of them, whereas it's not the case with men. They apply for the job if they have 60% of those qualifications. Why do you think that's the case? That's mainly because women don't have confidence. They're not confident because they don't have all the qualifications. And according to some of these answers that are given here, they think that they're wasting the other person's time because they don't have all the qualifications. What we need to instead do is, if you have 50 to 60% of those qualifications, go for it and learn the other 40% that you don't know. And that's what most people do. Because everything that's written down need not be something that you should already know. There are a lot of things that can be learned on a job. So go for that job if you like it, if you like the role. Don't wait till you acquire all of the skills. It's never going to be possible to acquire every single skill. Once you take up the job, learn it. Even before you go to the interview, for example, learn it and talk about how quickly you learn something, because that's exactly what the employers want to see. How quickly can you learn things? How quickly can you jump in and do something that's unexpected, right? So go for the job, apply for it, even if you don't have qualifications, if you're interested in the job, and if you have 50 to 60% of the skills listed. And then a lot of people talk about work-life balance. There is no such thing as work-life balance. There is work and there is life, like Sheryl Sandberg said here. But what you need to understand is your style. Are you a segmenter or an integrator? And what does that mean? Segmenters are basically people who divide the work and the family completely into 2 separate things. So basically they're working 9 to 5, they're going back home and they're not looking at their work anymore. They don't want to do anything to do with work at home. And that's completely fine. They're fully focused when they are at work. And then when they're in their houses, they're fully focused on their families. That's their style, basically. So once you know your style, you do the same. If that's how you want to be, you basically segment your work and your family. But there are also integrators. The integrators are people who basically use the flexibility that's provided by their company. If their company says you have flexible hours, they may be working 9 to 3, and then they're taking a break, and then they're coming back to their work at 7 o'clock when they're back home, and they're working till 10 o'clock in the night. Or they're taking some work back home, and they're working on the weekends to complete the work that they could not complete over the weekdays because they had to take care of their kids. So both of them are completely valid styles. There are many corporations, especially if it's an IT job, it's a software job, the companies provide that flexibility. So it's the matter of finding what your style is and then going with your style. So whether you're a segmenter or an integrator, But the work and the life balance doesn't exist. Basically, you need to do all of your work. You need to take care of your family. So you just need to understand what your style is and go with it. So there are a few key takeaways here. So basically, plan your future, your career. Know and capitalize on your strengths. Network and find people who can support you in your careers. Your style of working, whether you're a segmenter or an integrator. And you want to continue to learn, have those milestones, stay up to date with the technology, and create value where you're working. And also create milestones and don't rest on your past laurels. So those are the key takeaways from my career journey. Thank you for listening. And that's my LinkedIn QR code if you want to get in touch with me. You can take a picture.
Everybody use this QR code. Use this QR code to give feedback about today's talk and about basic stocks in general. So just use this QR code and we should be directed to the survey and answer those surveys. And as you're doing that, do you guys have any questions for Sashi? Yes.
You said that you are writing a book. What is it going to be about?
Oh, it's about data and generative AI.
Anyone else? Any other questions? Yes.
When's it going to be published?
Oh, by October, hopefully.
Could it be used as a textbook?
Probably, yes. Yeah. It'll have code examples, you'll have practical examples on AWS. So it's going to be all on AWS services. Yeah, but it could be used as a textbook. It's all about preparing data for creating generative AI applications.
Any other questions? Yeah.
Can you give an example of mentorship that really made a difference in your career path?
Yes, absolutely. That's a great question. So when I worked for Sabre Corporation, so I was an architect. So I joined the company as an architect. I was not a people leader. Then I had a mentor who recognized my strengths. So basically, the company had a very big problem. So they had a product that was going to be sunset because it had a number of different performance issues. So if a user is using that product, it would take 3 minutes to get to the next page, right? So it had severe performance issues. And I was very deep on technology side. I had certain skills to solve those problems. So I put together a big team of people, a team of engineers. We sat in a room, a war room for almost a month. We went through all the problems in that application, and then I divided that work among that group of people, and I led that project, a performance improvement project. And then basically that saved the company all of their customers. So there were about 500 customers that were using the product, and they didn't want that product anymore. They wanted a new product, and they were going to lose all those customers. But with my work leading that team, we were able to save that product and all of that revenue for the company. So the person who observed all of that basically talked to me about, how I have those leadership skills of motivating and getting the work done by a group of people, and I can run the project end-to-end successfully. So mentors definitely help you in recognizing your talents, recognizing your strengths, and telling you what you are capable of. And so with that support, I was able to get into the next role of the Director of Engineering.
Yes.
I'm curious, what is your next career goal and your future career plan?
Yeah, so I do have North Star. Basically, I do want to continue to help women in tech, empower women. So when I back home, there were a lot of barriers for me to break. I'm actually only one of the many cousins that I have who is in a role like this. So we were while we were growing up, the expectation is you get a bachelor's degree, you get married and stay home and have kids, right? So that was the expectation, that we were growing up to do that. But instead, I wanted to break all of those barriers and come out and do something else. So I want to go back to places where that is still the case. So that is still the case in a lot of places in the world. I want to talk about, I want to empower those women. They can do a lot more than just sit at home and cook and have babies. So that's my North Star. So I definitely want to do that after I retire. But as long as I'm in the corporate world, yeah, I want to step up. I want to move to the next level. Yeah.
Yeah. So you mentioned you are working at Amazon, so I think Amazon is a very great place for our students. So could you please, tell our students how they can prepare for interview, how they can get a job over there?
At Amazon?
Yes.
Yeah, definitely. That's why I wanted to cover some of these leadership principles, because our entire interview process is based on those leadership principles. So what we believe is that the past performance is an indicator of the future performance. So when we have an interview, we call it a loop. So they have 6 people testing, assessing the candidate on 2 of these leadership principles each. So these leadership principles are basically a demonstration of their behaviors. So dive deep is, for example, one of the leadership principles. So a person who is assessing the candidate on dive deep is trying to understand when this person dove deep in their past life. What did they dive deep to achieve what? And what it led to, what was the outcome of it? So in some cases, for example, they had to, let's say they're working on a machine learning algorithm, and they didn't have any data about it. They just know the algorithm, but the company X wanted to do Y with it. And they had to gather all of their enterprise data to run this algorithm on it and then create that outcome. So if this person found out all the data that was needed and put it all together and ran their algorithm on it and achieved the outcome that the company is looking for, then this person has delved deep into their corporate world. They understood their functionalities and their data. So that's an example of diving deep. So the entire interview process looks for these behaviors. So someone may have a completely different leadership principle, like learn and be curious. So what did this person learn? And what was the outcome of that learning? So that's how Amazon interviews people. So there will be 6 live interviews with 6 different people on leadership principles. And before the interview, they ask you to prepare and collect examples from your past life. And there is also a technical, of course, for AWS exactly, there is a technical part of it, which is the phone screen, which comes even before this loop. So they really need to understand the technology very well. So if say that the person says, I know C# very well, then they really will dive very deep into it and ask you a lot of questions on C# to understand how much you actually know. So that's the interview process. So there's a phone screen, and then there's this loop that's assessing your leadership principles.
And how much networking helps
Within the company.
to get a job at Amazon?
So all we can do is upload the resume. So knowing somebody is not really going to help them. Yeah, so you need to pass the phone screen, and then they need to pass all of these leadership principle assessments.
You have a question?
So that I can understand the company better, how come when each problem was presented, it wasn't taken care of right then and there, instead of you having to create an entire group and spend a month hammering out each?
Yeah, this was in Sabre Corporation, so where I got my director of engineering position, so that was in a completely different company. Yeah, so that wasn't the product made by Amazon. Yeah, I don't think we would have gotten there with Amazon making the product. So this was a legacy application that was there for 30 years in Sabre Corporation.
Would you say that if they use a proper agile method, then?
Yeah, now it's very different. So that was a legacy application that was there for the company. Yes, Sabre is a very old company. It's like been there for 60 years. Yeah, that was a legacy product that I had to fix. Yes.
As a mother of 2, does your career or your path work has any influence in your children's choice or study and career path?
They're all driven. They want to achieve great things. So that's why one is doing pre-medical. He's working very, very hard, and I hope he'll get there. He's here. Yes, today, so yeah, he couldn't come. But yeah, they're very driven. Even the second one, he's always looking at his grades. Am I making all A's or not? And he'll go back to his teacher and redo all of his assignments just to make an A. So he's very driven. Both of them are very driven.
Thanks.
Yes.
Can you share how you overcome your shyness?
My what?
Shyness.
Shyness.
Yeah.
My shyness. Oh, okay, yeah. So like I said, I was reading up a lot. I took communication classes, and one thing that really helped me is preparing before you go to a meeting. So I used to walk into the meeting, even though I know the topic, I used to walk into the meeting thinking I'll just say something abruptly, randomly. I'll talk because everybody's talking, right? But that's never going to help you. You really need to prepare. You need to understand the goal of the meeting before you walk into the meeting, and you want to prepare fully, gather all the data so you can assist them in achieving that goal in the meeting, right? That's the only way you're providing value. So when you have something to say that provides value, you're not going to be shy anymore. So if you've prepared yourself to say the right thing in the meeting, you're not going to be shy anymore. So that's what I realized.
I have a question. So you, as a leader in IT and being a woman, how do you balance the both and not let being a leader alter your personality so much? Because I know you, so I'm asking this. So you're naturally very soft, very feminine person. And leadership sometimes requires some different set of attributes.
Absolutely. So I think it all depends on the companies that you work for. Like if you see a leader in Amazon, they're very down to earth. Okay, totally down to earth, because they're basically demonstrating all those behaviors that we talked about, all those leadership principles. And none of them say that success should make you feel arrogant. So that's never the case.
Okay, so it's more of the company culture.
Culture,
yes.
Yeah, it's all about the culture.
Okay, yeah. It's a good answer.
And you talked about how much of an emphasis mentorship are in your life. I want to ask, will you be open to mentoring students from UT and will you be open to mentoring?
Absolutely, yeah. So as I said, I want to empower women going forward. So absolutely, I'll be open for that.
As there is a link with the women in engineering mentoring, and it's more of a cozy, like 5 girls, and you'll be there for 3 months.
Oh, okay.
And that's wonderful. Yeah, there will always be comments.
I'll be open for that, yeah.
Yes.
My question was that, so I'm a newcomer like you, developer in this field in computer science and software engineering. So my question is, I'm still exploring in leadership positions in different ops and organizations and internships. So during like hiring, do the hiring managers actually focus on if I'm having experience in a specific area that they want me to get in, or it could be like any kind of leadership or other experiences are also considered good?
Yeah, so for a freshman or for an intern, the companies don't normally hire them for a leadership job right away. So it will usually be an individual contributor job where you're gaining experience. So in Amazon, we say there is no compression algorithm for experience. So you can't compress experience. You need to gain your experience to be a leader. So for example, in my case, I was an individual contributor for 15 long years before I became a leader. So all of that experience helped me in becoming a leader. So when you start off as a fresh employee, you're I forgot the term that we use for the very first job, but you will usually be an individual contributor working in a team.
Okay, but also I want to focus on like, it's not about the leadership job. Of course, I'm not going to apply for leadership on the leadership setting, but like, I was wondering, so I explore in different kind of internship that not only actually focus on computer science, but probably I'm tutoring in some organizations or sort of something like that. So those also count towards positions that are related to computer science, or I would have to have specific experience in computer science.
Those will be considered, yes, absolutely. So if you're teaching in a computer center and you're teaching a programming language to students and then you apply for a software engineering job, they will consider your experience. They will ask you questions about what you've done there, things like that, yeah.
Thank you.
That will be valued, yes.
Any other questions?
I have a question.
Yes.
Shashi, if you don't mind, would you please tell your style of working? Are you a segregated or integrated?
I'm a complete integrator. You can see me with my laptop at home on a Sunday morning, so yes, I'm an integrator.
Okay. So, yeah, that would be it. Do we have?
Yes, we have. Thank you so much.